we have a theme this month that we are playing with in September. We've done that kind of routinely for the last few years, and our theme is to go back to the roots and the basics of our New Thought teachings. And our topic this morning is how to use the power. So I thought I'd better start with the basics of the basics. Let's start with the number one thing. What's the number one basic? That there is only one power. There is only one presence. We call it God. We call it love. We call it all these wonderful qualities. We know that it is all there is, and it is energy. It is a creative force. It has always been, and it will always be. It's got us covered. For it is all there is. It expresses itself in multiplicity. It never repeats itself. And yet, it is changeless. And it wants to experience itself in a myriad of ways, in an infinite number of ways, in an unconditional number of ways. It always says yes. It is based on oneness, on wholeness, on unity. And that's what we are. We resonate with that. When we hear those words, when we hear that I am love, God is love, and I am love, I am whole, and God is whole, and I am whole, God is complete, and I am complete, we know that's the truth. Because our soul responds to that. Our hearts respond to that. And that's what we teach here, is to remember the truth. We're not making anything new up here. There is no, shadow of what's going on over there. It's all right out there in the open. Everybody knows this truth. We just need to be reminded of it because we get caught up in the stuff of what's happening in life. So our basics, I got to stay on track here, our basics of how does it work. How does it work? It works by what we call mind. It works by what we call thought. This mental ability to bring the unseen, it's an unseen energy force. Do you see energy? Do you see energy? Not really, do you? You can see the effects of it. I mean, boy, you talk about the wind and what's happening now on the East Coast and all of that. They're going to see the effects of that. And we are praying, knowing that all is well. But we really can't see the energy itself. And so it brings itself to existence, to our experience, through this mind action. Now, I was going to I usually bring up my board, and I draw the circle and all that business, but I thought, well, I'm just going to wear my pendant. I don't know, that's probably too small for you to see, isn't it? Yes, sorry. But it's what our teaching symbol is this pendant. It's a round circle. I'll explain it. It's got 3 layers on it, and it's got a V going down through it. You see that? Try to see it? Can you see it? It's on your program. Good idea. It's on your program. Ta-da! It's in the window and the door. It starts out in the cerebral or in the unseen area. That's the top part. That's the idea. Can you see an idea? Can you see energy? Well, that's the top part. The middle part is our mind, is our this consciousness that is the the way the thing brings, it's the middle section, okay? There's a reason for that. And then the bottom section is the effect, the result, the manifestation of how it comes into our existence. But the thing that goes down through it is the way it works. The way that this spiritual energy gets into form is through that middle section called mind, through our thoughts, through our expectations. That's what our teaching symbol is all about. Now, I want to tell you what Ernest Holmes said, the founder of religious science, which is actually a philosophy. It's not a religion. It's a philosophy and a way of living. That's what religious science is. But Ernest Holmes said, involution, that's the part coming down through, that's that line going down. Involution is the activity of the spirit upon itself. All manifestation is the activity of spirit upon itself. In practical experience, it means I can produce only that which is first within me. Jesus said, when you pray, believe that ye have, and ye shall receive. Believe that you have, and so you receive. That will set the law in motion, and divine order will produce the thing. That's how we use the power. What were the elements of it? Let me go over those. Let me point those out. The first element is that, number one, if we are to use this power, what do we need to do? We need to know what we want. This power, is unlimited. It's infinite. It's everything. We are the individualized expression of that power. But, so our assignment, our take, our challenge, if you will, is to know what it is do we want. When you go into a restaurant, there is a menu, right? All of the options are there. And the server comes up and says, "What do you want?" And you say, "I don't know. What do you like?" How many of us have said that? Or you say, "You know what? I really don't know what I want, and I don't really care. Just give me something what's ever left over. Whatever you have extra, I'll take that." How many times do we do that in life? So our number one step to using the power is to know what we want. How do we know what we want? Right? How do we know what we want? I will give you a clue, a hint. That is to be quiet. What we have done earlier today, when we go into the stillness, into the silence, our higher self, our higher power knows what it is that we want. And if we don't know consciously, then we want to go into that space, in our heart space, in our mental quiet space, and ask. We ask, what does this higher power that I am, this infinite being that I am, what does it want to do? How does it want to express? And we listen. And we listen. And when the answer comes, we accept it. So that's number one, knowing what it is you want. And I mean by you, I mean the big you, the Y, the big S, the self. Because your little ego self can want a lot of stuff. But that's not really going to feed your soul. So you want to know what the upper, higher self wants, number one. So number two, and this is really the crux of the whole thing. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. It's one of the major cruxes, though. Did you notice that he said that in order to produce, if we figured out what we want, we have to produce it? We have to be that first? What the heck? How can I do that? I want this. How can I have it if I already have to be it? That makes no sense at all. I'm sorry. That's the way it works. You can't have it unless you are it. In consciousness, in the spiritual form, in the mental form, you have got to accept that this is true for me now. Because there's only now. There's not mañana. There's not any other time but now. And we have to be that. We have to accept it. The third element is that we have to believe it is now. We have to accept it with full responsibility of it is. It's happening now. This is it, and I've got it. Thank you, God. Ernest Holmes said, Jesus was certainly wise and good and powerful and truthful to principle, so true that he died for it. Did not hesitate to even turn water into wine because the people happened to want it. If I were asked, would you use a spiritual means to produce a physical thing? My reply would be, there is nothing but spirit. Your body is spiritual. There is nothing but spirit. The fact that we have believed it to be something that it is not. You cannot change universal mind. You can only change your thought. That is enough. Scientifically set in motion, the law will bring the thing you want. To me, what this is saying is that we have to be so immersed into the oneness, into our unity of our wholeness. And this law responds, it corresponds, it brings to us what we are. And how do we do that? We have to accept it. We have to say what we want. We have to know that it is right here and now. And we have to believe. And when we believe, we let it go. We talked about the 5 steps of treatment. Last week, you have it in your thought for the week. The first step is the idea that there is only God. The second step is that I am that in expression. The third step is that I'm speaking my word. I know what it is I want, what God wants to express through me. And I'm happy about it. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Yeah. And I'm letting it go. And so it is. Those are our 5 steps. Are you ready to receive? Recognition that there's only God, unification with that, realization that this is what I want, I'm speaking my word, thanksgiving, and release, let it go. That's how it works. The master teacher, Jesus the Christ, was the way shower, was the example. He did all this stuff. He performed all these miracles. And he said, greater things than these you shall do. If we do what? What was his example? Follow in his words. Follow his words. Do what as he did. What was one of the major things that Jesus did? Full on, all the time. You see it time and time and time again listed. He went up to the mountaintop. He went alone to pray. He took himself away from the worldly effects, and he allowed himself to be in communion with the one, with the power and presence. He checked in. He asked, what's up? What are we supposed to do today, God? What do you want God to do through me this day? He got his agenda. He asked. He believed that he was one with that power. So many times, you see, when we go into our meditative state, and we go into that quiet stillness, and we open ourselves up to being receptive to what is it that Spirit wants to do through me this day, what happens? We get an answer. And then we go, oh, Not me. Oh, shoot. Not me. And our ego sense, that sense of separation, tells us, no, you can't go there, you can't. But what Jesus accepted was his oneness. It's not me that doeth the work, it's the Father within that doeth the work. We all have the Father within. So we need to trust it. We need to know, I don't have to do it. You know, I told you last Sunday how I love surprises, right? Well, I'm saying that you're not surprised by what you want. You name what you want, but you're surprised by how it shows up. Right? God will give it to us in amazing different modalities, different avenues. Things will show up that we had no clue were even there if we set our intention and we trust and we say, okay, God, you're telling me that this is what's up for me this day, or this is what's up for me in this arena of my life at this moment. For this span of my life, for this classroom that I am in, that I am attending right now, this is my assignment. Got it. And I'm going to trust that you, his Spirit, power within, is going to lead and guide. That grace is going to show up and bring all of the different elements to me that I have need of in order to express this. Now I want to remind you of another totally basic element of the truth of the teaching, and that is that this energy, this mind, this creative power is love. It is love. Ernest Holmes said, love points the way and law makes the thing possible. Love is the top section. Law is the middle section. Love is the one thing that generates the creative energy, that gives the power to whatever is that wants to be manifested, that wants to come down through the spirit form. He said, the soul which can love the greatest will be the best healer. So what is love? What's an easy way to remember what love is? Let's just paraphrase. Chapter 13, 1 Corinthians, right? It says love is kind. Love does not envy. It's not puffed up. It thinks no evil. It rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things. It hopes all things and endures all things. I want to ask you if you are probably familiar with those things. I bet you your brain was reciting those quicker than I could even say them. But let's be astute in the nuance of what that's really telling us. Because what the examples of it is bringing up, listen, look at all the things that it says love is not. Love is not envious. Love is not puffed up. Love does not think evil. What are all those things? All those things are examples of separation. All those things are examples of an individual ego that is trying to make it on their own, because those individual ego separate ideas will think of being puffed up, of being envious, of thinking evil, of thinking wrong. That is the activity of separation. But what does love do? It rejoices in the truth. It hopes all things. It believes all things. Wow. It's like the best, greatest cheerleader you could have. It knows that all is well. It knows that everything truly is perfect, whole, and complete at all times, no matter what it looks like. That is our truth. That is our consciousness. That's what we need to step into and accept as our truth, the truth of our being. Ernest Holmes said, "We must awaken to the fact that we are mental beings, that we have to work out the problems of being, and the object of it all is that we raised our consciousness to the idea that we are perfect." Breathe. You are perfect. Your consciousness, your creative power, is limited to the amount of belief you have, the word you accept. If you believe you are living in an imperfect universe, it is imperfect to you. If everything is all right, everything is all right. If you are negative in one area of your thinking, it affects all areas of your life. There must be but one thing in consciousness: truth. You are each a law unto yourselves. Become unto yourself a law of happiness, a law of peace, a law of health, life, love, truth, beauty, and go forth to radiate that which you feel yourself to be. Here's the next big anchor: what you feel yourself to be. You can think about all this stuff till the cows come home, but unless you feel it, unless you get it with your heart, you're spinning your wheels. We need to know with so much certainty that we are perfect, that everything is in its right and perfect order, that it is all good, that life is good, that it is for us, it is love, it is cheering us on to be this greater expression than what we have yet experienced up to now on this earth plane. There is a greater yet to be for us, and we are here to be it. To be open to what it is and to live it without any sort of an excuse. When we are love in action, we know what it is. There's no denying it. There's no questioning about it. I have been working on trying to, that's probably not the best use of words. I've been working on memorizing that Philippians verse. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are. Does anybody know what the first one is? True. Yay. I got some other people here that are playing with that same, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are, and they go in hand. So I'm trying to, I used to be in theater, and when you're in theater, you have to memorize every single line, just exactly as it's written. But in any event, so I'm working on memorizing this. True, and this is the next one, goes hand in glove with it. Whatsoever things are honest. Whatsoever things are just. Whatsoever things are pure. Whatsoever things are lovely. Whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue and any praise, think on these things. There's just 8 of them. You'd think it wouldn't be that hard to remember them. And when you find yourself thinking of something else that's not true, what is the truth? That I am a love. That you are love. That there is only love. That's the truth. And if I'm thinking something else, I got to let it go. I don't want to dwell there. I don't want to have to emphasize that. I don't want to multiply that. I'm going to know that it's true. I'm honest. I'm honest with myself. Yeah, I goofed up. Yeah, I remember that I did Okay. There's justice in this universe. It's a just universe. Pure. Lovely. Isn't that love? Those are the things we want to think on. Those are the things that we want to have in our existence. And then what happens? The law corresponds. The law brings to us what we are putting out, what our consciousness is. If our consciousness is only full of love and only full of joy and only full of good report and only full of virtue and praise, oh my gosh, praise, 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 then the universe says, hey, okay, I can play that game. We'll give you more. This is the second week of the month. And we're doing the elementary elements of our religious science teaching. But I'll have to tell you what, I've got to throw in something here that is a little more advanced. Because you're not going to get away with just the elementary today. You're going to get one advanced step before we end this conversation. And because I want to admit right here and right now that the title of this talk, How to Use the Power, has a subtitle. And the advanced course of how to use the power is to let and allow the power to use us. This Science of Mind teaching, a lot of people get into it because they want to manifest stuff. They want stuff. They want to be able to speak their word and have it happen. But when you get into the more depths of it, when you get into more of the advanced stages of it, what you recognize is that this infinite power, this infinite being, wants to use us for its highest and best good. That is beyond our initial finite knowing. That, my friends, is true power. To be used by and allow and let this power use us. So do your homework, speak your word, know what you want, check in, go in and check what's my higher self want, and when it tells you, don't be upset, don't be afraid, don't be concerned. Say, if this idea has come to me, it's come to me for a reason. And know that the Spirit that is infinite is going to be bringing you what it is that you have need of to bring this to fruition. So how do you use the power? Speak your word. Believe it. Feel it. And then the last step is move your feet. You got to do whatever it is that this Spirit is nudging you to do. That's why we have these physical bodies, to do what needs to be done, to speak what needs to be said, to give a hand, lending a hand to a friend, to do whatever it needs to be done, that love shows up. How does love show up? That's what I am. And that's what we all are. That's how we use the power and how the power uses us.